You don't have to go back. Just kind of going off of that, what do you feel is one of the main challenges you face or roadblocks you face when you are promoting yourself your business?
Main challenge. Well, I think what's interesting is that we're in a really interesting place now that I think that entrepreneur, artistpreneur, and that type of individual is more socially accepted. So I think that the market's a little bit more, not quite saturated, but it's a little bit more crowded than it used to be. People really used to want to go do one job, get their 401k, and do that. And that's what they did. So the people that were the outliers that were kind of creating their own things, I think it was a smaller kind of niche market, which now I think really people understand the potential of the individual and where you can go. And so I think for that is maybe distinguishing yourself and really finding that fine line between, again, not being pushy, but letting your strengths be known and letting your wants and needs be known as well. And I think finding what worked for you, it's when it comes to promoting yourself, finding, I'm not horribly savvy with certain things, and other things I feel very comfortable with, and I think you need to find what works for you and really narrow down on those things. And also, if you can, find a supportive team. I think really finding a team that you can work with, that shares your vision, that shares your ideals. I have like 4 different teams that I work with because I work 4 or 5 different jobs. So the only thing that I do by myself is teach and choreograph. Everything else, and I've surrounded myself with really good people that believe in me, and you have to believe in yourself as well, and not be afraid of rejection, not be afraid of no, and just, if it's meant to be, put your head down, nose to the grind, and make it happen. You can't really wait for someone to hand it to you. You have to really push forward, and I think not get discouraged too easily.
Again, I'm a little bit different than everybody that's speaking today. I think it's not, I don't know, for me, I have this kind of skill set that a lot of artists want, that I can present to them, and I can say, hey, I can write a really kick-ass budget for you. Do you know how to do that? No, you don't. I can work on their Kickstarter. I can do their social media. I offer them something that they might not have the skill set for, and I also allow them to work on their work, their art. So I think when I'm promoting myself, it's just about kind of getting that into their head that they can use my help and they can use my skill set, and that I can allow them to work on their work. And I think a hard part about being an arts manager and wanting to make money, helping people write a budget and things like that, is to just not spread yourself so thin and get yourself involved in too many projects, and really commit to the things that you find important.
We should be friends.
See? It's
We should be friends. So, yes, that's one of the hardest things that I find about promoting myself is it doesn't matter what I make in my studio. I have to keep everything up to date. I then need to get in touch with people. I need to watch the Kickstarter for making my book. I need to worry about my website, which, don't judge me right now. I'm doing it. And then on top of it, even if you're exhausted, even if I'm just work a 20-hour day, you have to go out. So the internet is never going to be enough, ever. Your email list is never going to be enough. You have to go to gallery openings. You have to go to actually any kind of openings just to meet people in the field, not just other artists, not buyers. I need to meet art directors. I need to meet everybody. This is how I've gotten any of my commercial jobs or commissioned paintings or commissioned photo, anything. I mostly work by word of mouth. So please don't think that just because you've taken care of everything else that you don't have to still put yourself out there, because no matter what you're doing, you are selling yourself. And that's what I'm doing all day, is constantly trying to sell myself and meet as many individuals as I can.
Seriously. I echo that too. You gotta go out all the time and meet people, even when you hate it. Even when you can't think about talking about one other person. Fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
I sort of see two sides of this because I work with a lot of creative people to help them promote themselves, but I also struggle with promoting myself all the time. You know, the hardest thing for someone who's really creative is to separate your work and, you know, things that you take very personally from the business side of things. So you constantly have to be kind of take off your artist hat and say, okay, today I'm my own publicist. Today I'm running Google ads for myself. Today I'm gonna redesign my business card and just send it to the printer and not obsess over it, just so that I have a new business card. So you have to wear those different hats and you have to compartmentalize those parts of yourself. Otherwise, you'll drive yourself crazy. So definitely the different hats. You know, today I'm a publicist. Today I'm my business manager. Today I'm doing business development and I'm reaching out to new clients. I'm following up with people that I met at events. Mercedes and I were talking about this when we were getting coffee. Like, you know, not putting off sending that email to someone because you're waiting to write the perfect email. You know, you just have to do it. You just have to say, we met at that party, we had that great conversation, like, let's keep in touch. You know, and not obsess over everything you're doing because you have so much to do. When you work for yourself, you are all these roles. You're your publicist, you're doing your website, you're doing everything. So just kind of not being a perfectionist about it is something that takes a long time to get over, because the conservatories here teach you to be a perfectionist, so sometimes you just have to be business-minded. So have business cards and keep making them better. That's like the easiest way to make yourself seem legitimate, even if you're just one person. Notice my business is called Monroe and Company. You know, most of the time it's just me, but I do hire web developers. I do hire design assistants. I do hire writers and publicists to work with as needed, as the project, you know, is big enough to have a budget. So, but my clients don't need to know all that. They don't need to know that I'm most of the time just me. Sometimes I've thought it would be funny to have like separate email accounts, like they're emailing my assistant or something. But I realized that would just be too complicated to keep up with, and they would catch me. So business cards you must have, a website you must have, no matter what you're doing. I don't care if it's arts management, if you're a dancer, if you're a musician. If I can't find you on Google, you're not a real person. You don't exist. And even if you look at the web traffic on your website and you don't get a lot of traffic, it still doesn't matter. You just have to be able to be found. It drives me crazy when I can't find somebody on Google and when they don't have their own website. And I'm not just saying that so you hire me to make the website for you. And then the other thing for self-promotion that is the easiest thing you can do is just email existing clients, email people you already know, and just don't be afraid to ask for referrals. I think someone else mentioned that about, you know, no one's going to think less of you if you put yourself out there and if you ask for help or you ask for a referral. That you have to get over that like shame or that ego thing of asking for help. So.
I didn't answer that question.
So another thing about promoting yourself as an arts manager, I think, is to just get your hands in every single different pot of artists everywhere. You know, so when I was here, I was going to shows at the Stewed, and I was going to shows at the Dance Theater Lab, and I was going to the theater shows, and I was meeting all of these artists, and I was making sure that they all knew who I was, and I was the person that could help them with, you know, the management side of things. So I've helped actors, I've helped dancers and dance companies, I've helped individual musicians, I've helped bands. You know, it's kind of, the skills are transferable almost, you know, to all these different disciplines. So I think it's important to just meet artists in all different disciplines and let them know you're there and what you do.
By the way, there's a separate networking question, right?
Yes, but that's okay.
I didn't want to, because I have a whole other card for that.
It's coming up next.
I second everything that everyone has said. I think one of the very interesting things about this panel is that we are all different in terms of what we do, arts management or a photographer, things like that. But the one thing that does tie us all together is that we are technically self-employed. When I fill out my taxes at the end of the year, we all write the same thing for the most part, that we're self-employed, except for collecting, whatever other weird jobs we have that give us W-2s like Purchase for Me, and things like that. But I think dividing the two ideas from a musician perspective in terms of being your own business and then being an artist is severely important. You need to be able to promote yourself at all times. You are constantly promoting yourself, and that's from a business idea and from an artist idea. Every day you should get up and not put sweatpants on. You should put on something that makes you feel like an artist. That's my one really big critique that I have for everyone that I've had since I was like 15 years old. Don't do it. Be yourself, figure out what that is, look the part a little bit more. First impressions, especially in my line of work, is extremely important. I'm not saying that I get dressed to the nines every day, but I'm gonna put something on that, makes me look a little bit more interesting. And that in of itself, when I go out and network, I go out at the clubs and hang out with people and go to see a show, is gonna make me look a little bit more the part of what I'm trying to promote. It also makes me look really put together, and people wanna know that, they're hiring someone who's not gonna roll onto stage in the clothes that they just sat in the van in all day when they're on tour. That does not happen. There's another wrinkled shirt that costs a lot more money that gets put on before you go on stage when you're a rock star. So, don't let that kind of be deceiving to you guys. I get up every day at, 11, 12 o'clock because I'm out till 3, going to see shows and doing my own shows and performing. And I sit in front of the computer and I return emails every single day. I do it for at least an hour or two. I return emails. I think of people I should be sending emails to. I follow up with people I met the night before. I update my website. I contact, promoters and bookers and, curators of things about, getting involved in a festival. I'm always keeping track of deadlines, and I literally do it every single day so that I give myself more of a chance to find more opportunities. A website is extremely important. A lot of what I do is word of mouth. All the sideman work that I do, I don't have a website for it because I don't need it. I literally get hired just because that's been a networking thing that I've done for a long time. But I follow up with management. I follow up with, booking companies and stuff like that. And I say, hey, are you looking for anybody? I'm off tour right now for the next 3 months. I would be happy to go on tour with your artist. But anything I do for myself as my own art is all on a website. It's all Googleable. If you look up my name, there's like 3 pages of photos and links to interviews and things like that. Any sort of thing you can do, blog, interview, anything you can do to get your stuff on another website, anything at all, that's just going to add to your legitimacy, your internet legitimacy. Not that necessarily says that you're awesome, but it definitely, like he was saying with the business card, it makes you look pretty awesome. So, what?
It makes you the expert.
Yeah, it makes you look like you're an expert. You know what you're doing. You've been doing this a long time. Not that you're trying to deceive people, but I always say that what we do requires a little bit of egotism, of healthy egotism. We need to be really sure of ourselves at all times, not to the point where we don't ask for help and we don't ask for advice, and we're not snooty about it, but we need to be really sure that we know what we're doing. And creating that image for people so they can feel like, they can rely on what we do all the time. I think that's a super important thing.